Check. There we go. All right. Apologies to everyone here. My name is Weird Magic. I am back. Had a little trouble with the microphone there for a minute, but we're here, ready to go. Today's a special day as the pre-release of the newest Magic the Gathering set, Dominaria United, happens on Friday. And for once in my life, I've not actually been keeping up with the spoiler season for it. For the first little while I did, but I haven't really been following it as of late. So what I wanted to do today is go over every card from the new spoiler season, give my thoughts on it from a relatively blind perspective as a player who's been playing for a long time now. I'll be giving them mostly from the thoughts of Commander, but if I think things will be good in any other formats, I'll comment on them when I think it's the right time to. So if you enjoy this stream at all while you're watching, drop me a follow and !Discord to join the Discord server. Without further ado, hi, it's me, Chad. I'm back. And we will get started. So again, I'm walking into this basically blind, so I don't really know what we're looking at here. A Johnny Sleeper Agent. White, green, and a Phyrexian hybrid for a Johnny with the completed thing. So it either starts with 4 loyalty, or it starts with 2 loyalty if you pay the 2 life. So it's either 4 mana for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker, or it's 3 mana and 2 life for a 2 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or Planeswalker card, put it in your hand. Otherwise, you may put it onto the bottom of your library. That's an alright +1. A little bit of card advantage. -3, distribute 3 +1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. Seems like a pretty underwhelming -3, especially for the cost of -3. You can't use it if you cast it with the Phyrexian cost, the turn you play it. Seems underwhelming. -6, you get an emblem with Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. While that seems really strong, 2 poison counters means that they have to you have to cast 5 creature spells to 5 creature or planeswalker spells to kill your opponent. Is that likely to happen? Unlikely to be able to play him. Here's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to play him for 4, tick up 1 turn, so that's turn 5. He goes play him on turn 4. On turn 4, he goes up to 5 loyalty. On turn 5, he goes up to 6 loyalty. So this is potentially by turn 7, you're getting this ability that you probably need to build a deck around. There's no way that you're going to just use this emblem to kill somebody with poison counters. It seems way too niche. It seems way too slow to be able to work on its own. So overall, I'm very underwhelmed by this Ajani. I think it could have been a lot cooler. It's sad to see Ajani get dead, especially like this. Ajani's been one of my favorite characters in the lore for a long time now, and it's sad to see him go this way. Let's take a look at Jaya. Jaya, Fiery Negotiator for red 2. +1, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. Now that on its own is a very strong ability. Like 1/1 monks with prowess, getting a 1/1 monk with prowess every turn is similar to, in a way, like Monastery Mentor, which is a very, very strong effect. Obviously, this is a lot worse than Monastery Mentor because it costs more, but it does a lot more things. It looks like it has card advantage. It looks like it has removal. It looks like it has some late game potential. It's interesting. I'm also very much looking forward to seeing like a different style of mono red, because this is like the very mixed mono red pile here, because it's this combination of prowess mono red and burn damage mono red. Let me go over the rest of the abilities here. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them, you may play that card this turn. Fantastic ability. Acts as card advantage, acts as card filtering, allows you to dig for what you need to whenever you need to. -2, choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya, Fiery Negotiator deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. Interesting. It's a way for red to have a targeted removal spell that also puts them at an advantage in combat, which I think is a really, really, really interesting idea and a really, really, really cool effect. Sorry, my phone just turned on for some reason, and I don't know why it did that. Jaya, -8. You get an emblem with, whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copy. That is very cool. Again, I think it's very useless, like a lot of Planeswalker Ultimates are. The problem with Planeswalker Ultimates is that it just takes so long to get them. And this is along that line. It just takes way too long to even get that ultimate off. Overall, I really like this Jaya. She doesn't have as much impact as a lot of other Planeswalkers do, but I think that's okay because of the minor benefits you're getting from her are so nice. What do we have here? Joda the Unifier for white, blue, black, red, green. So for Wooburg. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So it's like Hall of Legends, or whatever that card was from Theros that gave the same benefit. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library to exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So basically, all your legendary spells have legendary cascade. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I think this is going to be a super fun commander. I don't think it's really going to see play anywhere else other than meme commander. I might make this has potential to be put into the 17 Shrines deck. This has potential to be put into Planeswalker tribal deck. This has a lot of potential to be put into a few good places. So I like the potential for this as commander. It's a 5-color commander that's not a general all-purpose commander like Kenrith, which I think is a really good thing. It's 5-color, it's good, it's not great. I think that's the place that 5-color commanders should be. So overall, great design here. I love the card. Karn Living Legacy. I've heard this card is bad. Let's see how it actually is. +1. Create a tapped Power Stone token. It's an artifact with tap, add a colorless. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. Already, this makes me a little upset. It's a decent +1 if it didn't have the non-artifacts clause. But the fact that you basically have to be playing mono artifacts. And if you're playing mono artifacts, you likely are playing other spells. Spell synergies. If you're thinking like Brea, for example. Like, you're playing other cards that interact with artifacts, so that token's gonna be useless half the time. So overall, very unimpressed. -1. Pay any amount of mana. Look at that many cards from the top of your library, then put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that ability is awful. This ability is really, really, really bad. The primary thing to note about that ability is that when you play Karn on turn 4, you really can't use that ability because you've spent all your mana casting Karn. Karn, and if you cast him on turn 5, then it's basically the best use of this card, in my opinion, is -1, pay 1 mana, draw a card. Like, I really think that as you spend more mana on this, it's just such a poor way to spend your mana. Maybe 2 mana to look at the top 2 and grab one of them is fine. Maybe 3 mana to look at the top 3 and grab one of them is fine. 4 mana to look at the top 4 and take one of them is a very, very, very poor cost for that effect. Because, I mean, there are cards that do that kind of effect, but significantly better. Yes, they are not repeatable like Karn is, but it's a -1, so if you're only -1ing it, you're only going to be able to do it 4 times. Yeah, I'm unimpressed. Bad card. I would not play this in pretty much any deck I built. Karn's Sylex. Karn's Sylex enters the battlefield tapped. Players can't pay life to cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Interesting little hate piece. It feels similar to Ugin's Nexus in that manner. Pay X, tap, exile Karn's Sylex. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. Activate only as a sorcery. So it's like this weird combination of Nevinral's Disc, Maelstrom, Nevinral's Disc, Pernicious Deed, and like a weird hate piece. I think that it's a very, very niche piece and is probably not worth playing unless you know you're playing against decks that care about the middle ability here. If you're looking for a sweeper, like a targeted mana value sweeper, you can play Nevinral's Disc, you can play Meat Hook Massacre, you can play Pernicious Deed. There's a lot of other effects that you can play that act as better sweepers than Karn's Sylex does. So overall, not very impressed. Rith Liberated Primeval. Red, green, white, 2 for a dragon. Flying ward 2. Other dragons you control have ward 2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. I really like the design space of this. I don't think this is a good commander, per se, but I think in the 99 of a dragon commander deck, this is insane. The reason why I think that this is so good is because a lot of times the dragon decks are walled by what we think of as like the Emrakul problem. Just block it with a 1/1. Now, every time your opponent chump blocks a dragon with a 1/1, you make a 4/4 at the beginning of your end step. So it really disincentivizes your opponents from chumping with random little creatures, and it lets you get more combat damage in, allowing your combat damage synergies to apply. Things like Yudvara Hellkite. Like, this unironically pairs really well with cards that say whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, because it's bad or worse. They either take the combat damage hit from something else and you get another benefit, or they block and chump with their 1/1 bird, and then you get a 4/4 later. And the fact that it gives all dragons you can true ward 2 is pretty sweet. Overall, pretty good card. I like it. Thumbs up. Next up, we have Sarah Paragon. 4 mana, 3/4, white 2 for a flying creature. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains. When this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it and you gain 2 life. So it's like a repeatable Sun Titan that you can't get infinite value from because the thing that you reanimate leaves play. I actually really like this. Like, at the end of the day, it lets you replay lands. You can get fetch lands back. You can't do it forever, but you get fetch lands back. It's a little bit of life gain, which doesn't really matter. But I feel like at the top end of a white weenies deck, where you're just trying to play a bunch of 1, 2, 3 mana white creatures and play an aggressive board, like a 3 mana 3/4 flyer, while a bad stat line, is really, really useful in that kind of white weenie deck. So I think this potentially could see like competitive play. In Commander, this seems like a super solid piece to put into any kind of mid-range white X deck. So overall, I like it. It's just a good value piece. I like it a lot. Shauna, Purifying Blade. Green, white, blue for a 3/3 human warrior. Legendary creature, human warrior. Lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, draw X cards. X can't be greater than the amount of life you gained this turn. So worse comes to worse. This is a 3 mana 3/3 lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, pay 3. Pay up to 3. If you do, draw that many cards. Because this is a 3/3 with lifelink, so it's going to gain 3 life every turn you attack with it in combat. I think this is a very cool commander and a very interesting way to take the Bant color combination. I really like it. I think even in like a competitive commander or even a competitive like tournament setting, this is a really powerful piece. It just sits there and gains you value over a long time. Like a 3/3 lifelink, you give this a buff on your next turn. You put an equipment on it. You put an enchantment on it. You put a like an aura effect to affect all your permanents on it. Like this thing's gonna be hitting it for quite a bit of damage, and then just slowly, consistently giving you card draw. I can see like a spooky play being like you play Shauna. Next turn you attack with Shauna, draw your card or draw 3 cards. Then next turn you play like Sarah Paragon and just threaten to be able to replay Shauna even if they kill it in combat. Like that seems like a really cool line that I like it a lot. I like this line a lot. I think this is a cool design for this color combination and for this card. So overall, I like it. Childred the Apocalypse. So this is going to be our 4th new reincarnation of the Praetors. We saw Vorinclex Monstrous Rider. We saw Jin Gataxia's Progress Tyrant, and we saw Urbrask, the mean streets of the streets of New Capenna version. Shoulder the Apocalypse. 4 mana, 4/5 Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Negligible ability. We don't care about that ability. We care about the second ability. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. This is going to be extremely toxic in the Nekazar deck. The deck that's going to force everyone to wheel, force everyone to discard their hand and redraw their whole hand. Now, you're going to have an effect that says whenever an opponent discards a card, they take 2 damage. And then a bunch of effects that say whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose a bunch of life. So they're going to lose like 7 to 14, 21 life when they discard their hand of 7. Then they're going to lose another 14, 21, 28, 34 life. 7 to 35 life just by redrawing their hand, potentially killing the entire table. And Shoulder's a really important piece increasing that damage output significantly. So overall, I really like it. I really like it, actually. Shivan Devastator. X1, Flying Haste, enters the battlefield with X plus almost some counters on it. Unironically, going to be really good in competitive, like standard red, I think. Just an X, like a X mana, X-1, X-1 creature with Flying and Haste acts as a finisher. You play it for X equals 4, like at top end for mono red. This reminds me of Glorybringer back in the days, if anyone remembers Glorybringer. Or like this reminds me of Glorybringer. Reminds me of what's the one from Kaldheim? Tubby Dragon, Goldspan Dragon. In a way where it's a little versatile, but also it acts as a top end for the red aggressive decks. I like it. I like it a lot. Silverback Elder. Green, 2. Creature Ape Shaman. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose one. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gained 4 life. This card seems underwhelming. Unironically, this seems really underwhelming. Like, yeah, it's a 5-mana 5/7, which has really good stats. But getting a consistent land drop off casting creatures is okay. The problem is you're putting the rest of the cards on the bottom, which means that you're going to be losing out on potential value plays that you're going to get from those cards. Like, you hit something really cool, hit something really important for your deck, and now you're forced to put it on the bottom, which is not a good thing. Destroy the target artifact or enchantment turns every creature into a naturalized 2, which is a really good effect. I'm never going to complain about that. Having consistent artifact and enchantment removal is quite nice. And then you gain 4 life is useful. I could see mono green playing this. I could say maybe green X. Like, I could see green red play this to have access to more enchantment removal. Overall, I think it could have been a lot better, but I'm not going to complain about it. Solkanar the Tainted. For blue, black, red 2, so for Grixis +2, legendary creature elemental demon. At the beginning of your end step, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Draw a card. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Solkanar the Tainted deals 3 damage to up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker. Exile Solkanar, then return it to the battlefield under an opponent's control. Which, before you ask, yes, this would reset the abilities listed here. So basically, I'm going to play it, I'm going to draw a card, I'm going to drain each opponent for 2, I'm going to deal 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, and then I'm going to give it to you. And then you're going to get to do all of these things. So obviously my mind goes to, let's just kill my own Solkanar, or blink it, or bounce it, right before I have to pick its last ability. The problem is that even the 3 abilities that you do get access to, draw a card, lose 2 life, gain 2 life, deal 3 damage, they're decent. Are they amazing? No. But a card like Deadeye Navigator, a card like Conjurer's Closet, even a card like Hell's Caretaker, a sack outlet plus like Phyrexian Rebirth, things like this make this card like just a source of long-term value. Because you're just never going to give it to your opponent, and you're going to consistently, if you can reset it every turn, consistently you're going to get to choose drain 2. Probably you're going to pick draw a card or deal 3 damage to another creature and planeswalker. No, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I actually kind of really like this design. It doesn't do a lot, which means that your opponents are never going to want to spend removal on it, because it feels bad to spend removal on this when it's not doing a ton to help your game state. But every little bit of incremental advantage is going to be really helpful, and this will be able to kind of like run you until you're late game. I could see putting this in like an extra turns deck, trying to get multiple uses of the lose 2 life and gain 2 life. I don't think there's a card that can give you multiple end steps. So, but I'm thinking things that can copy triggered abilities, like Rings of Brighthearth. That's an activated ability. What copies triggered abilities? Like Lithoform Engine, or the equipment that copies the triggered ability of the equipped creature. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Copy. Oh, triggered ability. Yeah, it's Lithoform Engine, Strionic Resonator. Equipped creature. I know there's one here that I'm looking for. Illusionist Bracers is activated. Nevermind doesn't work. Anyway, there's a few ways to copy the effect of Sulcanar. Helm of the Host also seems insane in this deck because you can't blink it. Because when the token blinks, it will come into play never, because tokens disappear whenever they leave the battlefield. I'm more and more getting interested in this. I really like the idea of this deck, actually. Great card. I like it. I'm switching my opinion. Great card. Soul of Windgrace. Black, red, green, 1. For a 5/4. Whenever Soul of Windgrace enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And then we get to discard some land cards. Discard a land card, you gain 3 life. Discard a land card, draw a card. Discard a land card, Soul of Windgrace gains indestructible, and tap it. This is the Lands Matters commander we've been looking for years now. Like, yeah, we had Lord Windgrace, the Planeswalker commander. We had Omnath. We had Gitrog Monster. This is the card we've been looking for. Like, this is the Zaxara. No, not Zaxara. This is the Zakama of this archetype. Like, it's versatile. You get to do a lot with it. You can protect it with its third ability. You can always, this card's awesome. I would love, this card's great. I don't even have any more words to say. This card's awesome. I love it. I love it. Great card. Moving on. Sphinx of Clear Skies. Blue, 3. Flying Ward. Domain. So Domain is this ability that says, do something based on the number of basic land types among the lands you control. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top X cards for your library, where X is the number of basic land types. Oh, so it's like a shitty Factor Fiction every time it deals combat damage to them. Very interesting thing to note here, though, is if you can actually, this is actually in mono blue. This acts like a 5-mana 5/5 ward domain. Like, when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Which in of itself is decent. Like, for the Sphinx tribal deck, like, that alone is probably good enough to just, like, exist. Just 5-mana 5/5 flying ward 2 deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. But, like, the ceiling for this is you played in 5-color and you get a free, like, better Factor Fiction every turn, which is awesome. I think this is decent, but I'm not, like, incredibly impressed by it. Overall, mid-tier card. The World Spell. Read ahead. Choose a chapter and start with that many lore counters. Add 1 after your draw step. Skip to chapters don't trigger. Sacrifice after 3. So you can choose to start at a later point. So I don't know why in this case you would choose to start at 2. You're basically choosing to start at 1, or you're choosing to start at 3. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-saga permanent from among them and put it into your library. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Then the last chapter, put up to 2 non-saga permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So this, in theory, is either 7 mana, like, look at the top 7 and or 14 cards of your library, grab a permanent from it, and then cheat them into play, or it's a 7 mana sorcery, put up to 2 non-land permanents from your hand on the battlefield, and then it just immediately dies. It seems expensive. And the problem with sagas in general is that if you aren't able to get to the 3rd clause, then they don't do anything because they just get destroyed before they get to step 3. This is nice because you can immediately jump to step 3 with read ahead. The downside now being that you don't get the full value of the card, but that's okay. Overall, a little expensive for this effect, but it's decent. Middle thumb here. Middle thumb. I'll give it a middle thumb for that one. Timeless Lotus. 5 mana, legendary artifact, enters battlefield tapped. Tap it, add Wooburg. I very much dislike this card solely because of the fact that, like, there's so many better rocks you can play. There's so many better effects like this you can play. It's a shame that, like, Gilded Lotus is similar. You have to play this in 5 color and Commander. Like, this, there's better options at that point. Just play Chromatic Orrery. Like, I'm good on this card. Like, I'm good. Not a great card. Vesuvian Diplomacy. Vesuvian Diplomacy. Enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. Wow, Brutaclad likes this card. Wow, a lot of cards are really going to like this card. This card seems awesome. I really, really like this card. I think this is super awesome. This is a really, really cool effect. Ovar is gonna like this. I think Brutaclad's gonna like this. I think even like Sakashima Timna, I could see really liking this. Just getting multiple effects of the same powerful thing you have in play. It's why Helm of the Host is so good. This is on the same level as Helm of the Host. For Helm of the Host, you're guaranteed to get 1 token every turn. For this card, you can get multiple a turn, but you're not guaranteed to get any if you don't have any spells. I think this has a very high ceiling, but a very low, but also a very high floor. Like, it could be very bad, but it also could be very good. Whereas Helm of the Host is more in the middle. It's more, this is always consistently going to be above average. Alright, Weatherlight completed. 2 mana. Legendary artifact vehicle, so that means it's not a creature by default. Let me just make sure that that's correct here. There are no patch notes on this card yet. Got it. As long as Weatherlight completed has 4 or more Phyresis counters on it, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. So you can't crew this creature. It just becomes a creature on its own. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a Phyresis counter on Weatherlight completed, then draw a card if it has 7 or more Phyresis counters on it. If it doesn't, scry 1. Okay, so once you kill 4 of your creatures, it becomes a 5/5 flyer. It's a 2 mana 5/5 flyer after 4 creatures die, and you're still getting to scry. And then after 7 or more creatures die, you get to draw a card. Unironically, this card becomes significantly worse once it becomes a creature because it dies to creature removal. This card would be really, really, really strong if it didn't become a creature. So if there's some way, like, you can unironically put, what's that card? Swift Reconfiguration. Swift Reconfiguration. Like, if you can somehow put your own Swift Reconfiguration on Weatherlight completed, then it's not going to be a creature ever. And you can live with the fact that you still get this really, really, really strong ability. Like, putting Darksteel Mutation or Imprisoned in the Moon, well, loses all their abilities means that it doesn't work. Some way to just stop this from being a creature would be awesome, because then you get this, like, this ability is really strong. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. That ability doesn't exist anywhere. The only other place that ability really exists is on Liliana Dreadhorde. Liliana Dreadhorde General. And this is a 6 mana card, 6 mana Planeswalker in black. This is a colorless card. You can play this in any deck. And the ability to draw cards and scry for free whenever a creature dies is awesome. So I think this has a very high ceiling. I think this card is going to be very strong. You just have to make sure it stays alive. Zur Eternal Schemer. White, blue, black for a 1/4. Legendary creature, human, wizard, flying. Enchantment creatures you control have death touch, lifelink, and hexproof. For 2, target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and base toughness equal to its mana value. So this is like Starfield of Nyx, but also gives hexproof and I mean, obviously, I don't need to say this, but this is significantly worse than the old Zur. I'm not a big fan of this, especially in the colors it's in. It feels like a derivative of Sidri, Galvanic Genius, basically the card in exactly the same colors that does the same thing for artifacts and not creatures. So overall, I'm not very impressed by this. So that's it. Those are all the mythic rares. Overall, what were my top picks here? Shana is really cool. Solkanar, I might just build Solkanar now. I think that's a really cool effect. Soul of Windgrace is sweet. Shouldered's going to be toxic and Nekazar. Rith is decent. Jaya is really cool. Ajani and Karn suck ass. Sarah Paragon is underrated. I think this card's very strong. And then the rest seemed okay. Weatherlight Completed being an exception. Weatherlight Completed seemed very good. Let's move on to the rares. I'm probably going to stop after the rares. I might do the uncommons, but we'll see how long I'll see how long I want to go for here. Academy Lore Master. Blue. Beginning of each player's draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells that they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast. This, on surface level, seems bad. But when you realize that Draw Go is an archetype, this becomes significantly better. The archetype being, you play a commander like Baral, or you play a commander like Talrand, and you literally fill your deck with counterspells, and every turn you draw a card and you pass. You never cast spells on your turn, you only cast spells on your opponent's turns. So the downside of this card never applies because you're never casting spells on your turn. So it's just a straight Howling Mine for yourself. Now, do I care if my opponents get to draw an extra card if their spells cost 2 more this turn? Yes and no. Yes, having your opponents draw an extra card every turn is not a good thing. But if I'm playing Draw Go Control, the fact that their spells cost 2 more means that my counter spells are significantly more effective at countering the original spell or at functioning in a counterspell war when my opponents are trying to resolve a spell and I just say, you know what, no, I'm going to counter your spell, and they don't have enough mana now to cast their counter spell because Academy Lore Master has taxed them for 2. This is sweet. I like it a lot. Ether Channeler. Whenever Ether Channeler enters the battlefield, choose 1. Create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Return another non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card. This card is exactly the same as Callous Blood Mage, and I don't like either of them. For those who don't know, Callous Blood Mage and this other card, this Aether Channeler, fill a very similar niche. They're both a 3-mana 2/1. They both either create a token, draw a card, or have some other effect. In this case, it's bouncing a non-land permanent. In this case, it's exiling a graveyard. My issue with Callous Blood Mage, which is my same issue with Ether Channeler, is that all of these abilities cost too much for a 3-mana 2/1. Like, yes, you get the versatility of it, but none of these really feel impactful enough to just play. So I'm not a big fan. Anointed Peacekeeper. 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 3/3 vigilance. As Anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Spells your opponents cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Activated abilities, the sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So it's a weird combination of Phyrexian Revoker and Nevermore. Or like Curse of Silence or whatever that card is. It's okay. It's a 3 mana hate bear, which is not incredible. I'm on this one. I'm on this one. I don't particularly like it. Archangel of Wrath. White 2 for 3/4 angel with flying and lifelink. With kicker black and or red. So you may pay an additional black and or red as you cast the spell. When it was kicked, when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. I'm curious, do you get both if it was kicked twice? I would think so. I would think the way that they intended this was that it's a 4 mana 3/4 ETB do nothing. 5 mana 3/4 ETB deal 2 damage. 6 mana 3/4 ETB deal 4 damage. It seems really decent. In the Mardu colors, it seems decent enough to get some amount of traction. It just doesn't seem like it does a lot here. But overall, like, who cares? Like, overall, it's a decent card for the price. Aster, Bearer of Blades, for white, red, 2 for a 4/4. Whenever Aster enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an equipment or vehicle card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. Equipment you control have Equip 1. Vehicles you control have Crew 1. Holy. That's going to be a strong commander. I personally think that red-white, there's a lot more interesting archetypes in red-white than equipment and vehicles. But dang, that's a strong effect. Mostly, equipment you control have Equip 1 is insane. It makes some really, really strong equipment become significantly better. Vehicles you control have Crew 1 is less impactful, but man, this card's going to be very strong. Moving on to we have a new Braids. Braids Arisen Nightmare. Black 1. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares the card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. Let me read this again. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. So you don't get to pick all. You only get to pick 1, which makes this a lot worse. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. If they don't, for each opponent that doesn't, you get to draw a card and they lose 2 life. Okay. I'm not a big fan. My primary issue with it is that your opponents get to pick the better of 2 options for themselves or you. So the likelihood is they're just always going to pick that you get to lose 2 life or draw a card. If you're looking to target a specific player, like they only have 1 creature in play, then everyone else will just sack a random creature. Yeah, I'm not liking it. Sorry. Briar Hydra. Green 5. Plant Hydra with Tramp. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put X plus some counters on a creature you control, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Super, super decent. The problem is that's a 6 mana 6/6 do nothing. Like, you play it, it doesn't do anything the turn you play it. You have to wait a whole turn. You have to deal combat damage. And then at most, you're putting 5 plus some counters on a creature you control. I think it's just a little slow for what it does. Chaotic Transformation. Exile up to 1 target artifact, creature, enchantment, planeswalker, and land. For each permanent this way, they chaos warp into one of the same type. It's expensive. I don't think it's better than Chaos Warp. I don't think it's better than Wild Magic Surge. I don't think it's better than any other random removal we have access to in red. Tibalt's Trickery. I don't think it's better than Tibalt's Trickery. Not a big fan. Cosmic Epiphany. Blue 4. Draw cards equal the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. There are better ways of mass draw. Flood of Ideas, even the 6 mana draw 4s. You're looking at Treasure Cruise. You're looking at Delve Through Time. I don't like this. It's just a little expensive. Danitha, Benalia's Hope. White 4 for a 4/4. First strike, vigilance, lifelink, human knight. When Danitha enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to Danitha. Seems cool. Seems like you can do really, really dumb things with Helm of the Host. Thumbs up. We broke Helm of the Host again. Cool. Wait, is this so? This is a cycle here. There's one of each color: Defiler of Dreams, Defiler of Faith, Defiler of Flesh, Defiler of Instinct, Defiler of Vigor. Is this a parody on the Chancellor of the series? Chancellor of the. Is this a parody on the Chancellor series? They all have the you may reveal this card from your opening hand, do something at the start of your first turn. These all say, as an additional cost to cast blue, white, black, red, or green permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 less if you paid life this way. So every spell can gain 1 Phyrexian color. Whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, draw a card, make a 1/1 white soldier. Target creature gets +1/+1 against menace. Deal 1 damage to any target. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. All of these seem actually really decent. And the reason why I say that is Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, is a really, really good card. Turning all of your black mana into Phyrexian mana. So turning even just some of your mana into Phyrexian mana is a very, very cool effect. Drawing a card is amazing. Making a 1/1 white soldier is okay. Giving a creature +1/+1 in menace, probably pretty strong. Dealing 1 damage to any target seems decent. I can see like a mono red deck existing with Defiler of Instinct plus like Jaya and Shivan Devastator in standard. And then putting a counter on all your creatures is awesome. Very, very cool effect. I like it a lot. Drag to the bottom. Black, 2. Each creature you control gets each creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. Okay. In mono black, this is awful. It's 4 mana -2/2. In 5 color, this is 4 mana -6/6 until end of turn. I mean, this is basically only playable in 5 color, and then you're already trying to play double black for a card in 5 color. So unless you have a good mana base, this is going to be pretty hard to pull off consistently. So, Defile is better than this. Dead of Winter is better. Meat Hook Massacre, Mutilate, Languish. These are all better effects that fill a similar role. Like compare this to Languish, actually. Let's compare Drag to the Bottom to Languish. Like, this is 4 mana, all creatures get -4/-4. This is 4 mana, all creatures potentially get -2 through -6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. So this is just the average of Drag to the Bottom, but it's consistently going to be 4. Which is why I think it's a lot less good. Urtai Resurrected. When Urtai Resurrected enters battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell, activated, or triggered ability, its controller draws a card. Destroy another target creature or planeswalker, its controller draws a card. So here's the thing. At surface level, this seems okay. This doesn't seem incredible. When you look into it a little deeper, this is the ultimate counter to Thassa's Oracle. And for that alone, I could see it seeing play in like a competitive black-blue or black-blue X setting. Because your opponent goes, I'm going to exile my entire library, I'm going to mill my entire deck, whatever. I'm going to play Thassa's Oracle, I win the game. You go, I flash an Urtai, I counter the triggered ability, so you don't even get to do anything, and then I'm going to force you to draw a card, and then you lose because you have no cards in your deck. Destroy another target creature, planeswalker control, draws a card. I think this card's sweet. It's a very versatile card in blue-black. You can do weird shenanigans with bouncing, with blinking, with sacking, just similar to what you would do with Solkanar. I think Airtide going into a Solkanar deck would be really sweet because you can you're just gonna be doing like blink shenanigans with both of them. Very cool card. Very unique and very niche. Like effect, but strong effect. I like it. Evolved Sleeper. 1 mana, 1/1. Oh, this is one of the level up cards, similar to Spirit of Destiny or whatever that card. Figure of Destiny, Spirit, similar to the Frost one from Kaldheim, similar to the Abzan one from Abzan. I forget the name of all of these cards. Evolved Sleeper. Pay 1. Evolved Sleeper becomes a human cleric with base power and toughness 2/2. Pay 2. If Evolved Sleeper is a cleric, put a Death Touch counter on it, and it becomes a Phyrexian human cleric with base power and toughness 3/3. Pay 3. If Evolved Sleeper is for a Phyrexian, put a plus almost some counter on it, then you draw a card and you lose 1 life. It feels like it's a lot of mana just to draw 1 card. Like, yeah, you're getting a 3/3 throughout the process. It's getting bigger and bigger, and you can repeat the last ability to keep drawing a bunch of cards. But I'm not really feeling it. Like, excuse me. It feels like it's a lot of work just for a relatively benign effect. Goat Lord, welcome in. Congratulations on the new emotes. Appreciate. Congratulations on the new emotes. I'm just going over the Dominaria spoilers, so you will have to check the VODs. I'm not going back over everything I've been through. If you are just coming in, just go back and look at the VOD. I will post it on my YouTube channel. Blah 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 blah. Golden Argosy. 4 mana, 3/6 vehicle with crew 1. Whenever it attacks, blink every creature that crewed it. Seems cool. Seems really cool. It was good. I was looking non-mythic. This is really cool. Argosy, exactly. A repeatable blink effect. The problem is you have to attack with this, which means that eventually this will die in combat. It's just like a weird version of Conjurer's Closet in a way. It feels like it has a niche place, but it's really solid. But it seems super solid. Dockside Crew High. I mean, yeah, it's really strong with anything that ETBs or LTBs, but eventually they're just gonna kill the Golden Argosy. So yeah. Guardian of New Benalia. 2/2 for 2 in list. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control with Summoning Sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature. So you can kind of let your Summoning Sick creatures attack the turn they come into play by enlisting them. No, without Summoning Sickness. Never mind. You can't do it. It has to be one that could have attacked that chose not to attack. Whenever Guardian of Benalia enlists a creature, scry 2, discard a card, it gains indestructible until turn, tap it. I mean, in standard, this could be in a mono white weenies deck. I could see like you do Guardian of New Benalia, and then you go like turn to Guardian of New Benalia into turn 3 Anointed Peacekeeper, or Shana turn 4 Sarah Paragon, turn 5 Defiler of Faith. I feel like that could be a really strong deck in terms of like mono white aggro. I'm not incredibly impressed by this card, but time will see. Time will see. Haughty Jin. Blue 1 for an X4 flyer. Power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. Instant sorcery spells you cast called well cast. Cool. It's like Crackling Drake. Versatile. I like it. I mean, what can I say? How can I hate this card? It does what it's supposed to do. It's in mono blue. It's a great resource for mono blue. Thumbs up. It's a cool card. Like, yeah, it's a cool card. How much mana? 3. Blue 1. Blue 1 for a. It's the same cost as Crackling Drake, except it's in mono blue, but it reduces the cost of your instant and sorcery spells by 1. I mean, yeah, it's good card. Thumbs up, good card. Hit chicken harder, yeah, but I mean, you're in mono blue, so you just in mono blue. This is like really strong. I mean, like let's compare this to Crackling Jake. Like this is just like objectively better than Crackling Drake. Like this card is really hard on pips. It only EDB draws a card and has the same power clause. This is 3 mana. It reduces the cost of stuff, and you can play it in mono blue commander. I think this is card's card good. Card's good. Herd Migration. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each land among the land types you control. Discard Herd Migration, search library for a basic land card, reveal it, put in your hand, and shuffle, you gain 3 life. I don't like this. This card is very underwhelming. Like it's either a 2 mana bad Rampant Growth, or it's a 7 mana bad token creator. It doesn't do either of the things that it's supposed to do. And I don't think it's good. I really, really don't think it's good. Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief. 2 mana, 2/1. Flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. Now, this is really interesting. This reminds me a lot of the mono red goblin that would copy the spell for each other thing when you targeted him only. This is a little different. This is when you only target something. When anyone targets anything that's not her, she gets a copy of it. The problem is you're in green and blue, and I don't know how good the set of targeted spells are in green and blue. Yes, you can get extra auras. Yes, you can get extra weird stuff. But it is also a 2 mana 2/1. You'd have to play it in combination with another card, which is doable to do because it is only 2 mana. I'm on the edge about this one. This could be really strong. Mostly buff spells and ratings. The problem is that like what's the end game here? Are you going to kill someone with command damage? If so, why are you casting the spell on another permanent? Why not just cast it on this? If this had flash, I think this would be a sweet card. This would be really, really cool if it had flash. But it doesn't have flash. So I'm feeling less excited about it. Joyra, Ageless Innovator. 2 mana, 2/3. Tap. Put 2 Ingenuity counters on Joyra. Then you may put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the number of Ingenuity counters on Joyra. So it's Aether Vial, but for 2 mana in the artifact deck. Joyra seems hot, not gonna lie. You, my guy, are a MILF fan. Fucking. I'm just gonna put this on Zoom here real quick. I'm gonna let Goat Lord take this one in for a minute. Oh, know what she does. Anyway, yeah, I mean, she's an Aether Vial. I mean, like, yeah, you get a free thing every turn. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get a free artifact every turn. The problem is you have to have something that you want to cheat into play at any given time. The upside here is that it's at instant speed. And instant speed here definitely makes a big difference when it comes to how we're feeling. Blightsteel, yeah, please wait 6 turns and don't destroy Joyra. Just don't cast Lightning Bolt or don't destroy Joyra in the next 7 turns, and then I will cheat a Blightsteel into play. Proliferate. Cool. If I see you proliferating a Joyra, Joyra's getting the boot. The problem with this is that it's just like you're never going to expect to get maybe more than 2 activations off this before it dies. I think players are smart enough to realize that this is a threat just by existing. Like it's gonna net you so much mana over such a fast amount of time that you're probably just going to kill it after it hits 4, maybe 6 counters. But if you can keep it alive and you can do really, really interesting things with it, I could see this being a piece in like KCI Ironworks, like KCI combo decks. Turn 4 Godferos. No, it would be turn 5. Talking about Godpharaoh's Gift, that would be turn 6, right? Because that's a 7-drop. Oh, Godpharaoh's Statue. I mean, that's still turn 5 because you have to activate it on turn 3 and then activate it on turn 4 and then activate it on turn 5. So it's going to take a little while, and it's unlikely that they're going to that your opponents are going to let you just get to that point on their own for free. I think she has a high ceiling. If you can give her haste, that adds a lot of value to this card. I think that it could be a lot better. Keldon Flamesage. Red 2 enlists, so that's whenever it attacks, you can tap a non-attacking, non-summoning sickness creature and add its power. Whenever Keldon Flamesage attacks, look at the top X cards of your library where X is Keldon Flamesage's power. You may exile an instant or sorcery card with mana value X or less from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. You may cast it card without paying its mana cost. So it's like a weird version of like Sunbird's Invocation crossed with like Collected Company, crossed with like these weird cast from exile stuff. I'm not a big fan of this. It's a little expensive for what we wanted to do. Like, yeah, it's cool. You can get a neat spell for free. But it's a little expensive and you need to have another creature. So you need to play a creature on turn 2. Likely it has to have 2 or 3 power. Then you have to play Keldon Flamesage. Then you have to intentionally not attack with your 2-drop on turn 4 to be able to get any kind of value about it. How much mana for it? It's a 3-drop. It's red 2. So it's like you play a 2-drop and then you play Keldon Flamesage and then you have to attack with Flamesage and not attack with your 2-drop. It just seems like you're losing out on a lot of value for potentially rolling into a spell. Now, that being said, in this hypothetical red aggro deck that I've been scheming up that uses Prosper might try it. You're totally right. This does work in Prosper. I could see testing this in Prosper. I'm thinking for like standard right now. You could use Keldon Flame Mage in the same deck with Defiler of Instinct and Shiv and Devon. Like, imagine this line of play. You go turn 1, land 1-drop, or land burn spell. Turn 2, you play a Shivan Devastator on 1 and just hit your opponent for 1. Turn 3, you play Keldon Flamesage. I'm always in a CDH mindset. I agree, but I've been trying to think about this from a bunch of different angles. Turn 4, you play Defiler of Instinct. You attack with Keldon Flamesage. You tap down your 1/1 Shivan Devastator. You get a burn spell. You get a 3-drop or less from the top 3, which could be like a removal spell. And then you're in play with a Defiler of Instinct. And you're like in race mode at that point. So this could be good in the standard mono red deck. In Commander, maybe this sees play in Prosper. I don't think it really sees play anywhere else, though. King Darien the 62nd. I don't know. Someone in chat tell me what this is in Roman numerals. 60. What was that? 48th? Is that 48 in Roman numerals? Anyway, King Darien the 69th. Green white 1 for a 2/3. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Yeah, 48. That's what I thought. Pay 5, put a +1/+1 counter on King Darien and create a 1/1 white soldier. Sacrifice King Darien. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Wow, my boy, how you have fallen from grace. Old Darien would not approve of new Darien here. Old Darien is awesome. I really like Old Darien. This just feels like it's like a worse mod, like Maja. What's that card? It's from Kaldheim. It's a 5-drop legendary in Simic. No, Kaldheim. Kaldheim. This thing. It seems like it's a worse version of Maja. Like, yeah, it buffs itself and makes tokens, but it costs a lot of mana. You're not going to be able to gain a lot of repetition on this per turn. And then this ability seems relatively weak. The fact that it only hits creature tokens makes it a lot more niche. I'm not a big fan of this. Seems kind of better. I don't know which you're referring to as better. There's arguments that Darien is better than Maja in that it has this secondary ability and can buff itself. There's arguments that Maja is better because you're basically guaranteed to make a 1/1 every turn, and with fetch lands, Maja can get you a lot more tokens a lot faster. So they're interchangeable, but I don't really like Darien. I don't know. It feels like in the right deck, Maja does a little more work than King Darien does. Leaf Crowned Visionary. Oh, of course you play both, but I just don't like the deck in general. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. This is toxic. This card is insane. I don't think I need to explain why this card's just absolutely nuts. Like, I don't need. Yeah, this card's great. This card's awesome. The elf decks would love to add this in. Very strong. Thumbs up. Don't want to talk about it anymore. Explain. It's a 2-drop that turns. The problem with the elf deck is that you're playing so many dorks and you're playing so many low mana cost creatures that this turns every creature into another source of advantage by just paying a little more. And your creatures are at such a low cost, especially in like a Shaya or in any kind of elf ball deck. Like Morrowind would also really like this because you play an elf, you pay a mana, you draw a card, you continue playing the Morrowind gets bigger and bigger. Then you tap Morrowind for a ton of mana and use that mana to just kind of putter out for the end of turn. But by then, you've already done your damage, and you've just gained so much value from this. Specifically, there's a few reasons why I like this better than Life Crafters, Bestiary. With a Shia Loops says draw your deck. It does let you draw your deck in a Shia Loops. It's better than this because it costs 2 mana. It's also an elf and it buffs elves. So yeah, Leaf Crown Visionary, really good. Don't know how well it'll see in standard, but I think commander players are really gonna like this card. Casual and competitive commander. Leyline Binding. White 5. Flash costs 1 less for each basic land type among permanents you control, and it acts as like an Oblivion. It's a what's the Oblivion Ring but newer from Theros that only hits your opponent's thing. What's the name of that card? Oh gosh, what's the name of that card? You know this. You know this, Goat Lord. It's 3 mana. It exiles a thing until it leaves play. It's an enchantment. It has like stars and stuff on it from original Theros and then from the Theros reprint. I can see the picture in my mind of it. I'm blanking on the name of this card right now. I'm gonna find this real quick. I need to know what this card is. think it's Sealway. No, I'm thinking I think it starts with an R. I have to know. I have to know this now. I'm not gonna be able to keep talking until I figure this out. Type enchantment. Oh, exile. Banishing Light. This card, Banishing Light. Finally found it. It's like Banishing Light. It's literally just a Banishing Light that can cost less. I don't like it. Like, if you're in 5-color, you have access to better removal. If you're in mono white, this card's really bad. And even if you're in 2-color or 3-color, like, you'd have to be in 2-color, 3-color. You have to be in 3-color to make this as good as Banishing Light. And then by then, just play better removal. Llanowar Green Widow. 3 mana, 4/3, reach trample. For 8, which costs 1 less for each basic land type. Return to the battlefield tapped, and then it exiles if it would die. All of these domain cards just don't seem very good. Any card with domain that we've seen in the new set, it just seems like you can do the same thing that you had been doing, but different and better in a multicolored card. Like, the benefit of playing multiple lands with basic land types is that you're in multiple colors. Why am I playing a really bad monocolor card if I'm just going to play multicolored cards and have better access anyways? Moving on. Llanowar Loam Speaker. 2 mana, 1/3. Elf Druid. Tap, add 1 of any color. Tap. Target creature land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It's still land activated only as a sorcery. I mean, this card's decent. It's a dork. But is it amazing? No, I'm pretty indifferent to this card. Maria, Scholar of Antiquity. Red, green, 1. Legendary creature, Elf Artificer. Tap an untapped non-token artifact you control. Add green. Tap 2 untapped non-token artifact creatures you control. Exile top card of your library. You may play it this turn. This feels like a really double-edged card because it's cool that red green has been getting access to the exile archetype. They've been doing a lot of really, really cool stuff with the impulse draw stuff from the commander, the Baldur's Gate red green impulse draw to a lot of the red impulse draw. Like, red green's been getting a really cool effect here. It is worse Urza. It's in a worse color combination. I mean, Goat Lord said it perfectly. It is just worse Urza, which is a shame because this card seems cool, but it's not great. Moving on. Namada, Primeval Warden. Black, green, 2. Reach. If a creature an opponent controls but dies, exile it instead. Whenever you do, create a 1/1 green Sapperling creature token. Sack a Sapperling, it gets +2/+2. Sack 2 Sapperlings, draw a card. I know you can't see chat. The overlay kind of doesn't work with the white website. I don't think there's any way I can right now on the fly fix that. So, L, you can see chat because you're in chat. Namada, like, if you want a Sapperling deck, there's so many better and more interesting ways to do it. It just doesn't seem interesting, really. You know what? We're gonna do this right now on the fly. See if I can change chat. You include in the 99 casual commander for sure, absolutely. I'll have to find a way to get a chat overlay that I can toggle the color of the chat text box for, but we'll figure it out. Plaza of Heroes. land. You know what? I also might take chat off screen eventually, just because I think it might be a little distracting to have it on screen all the time. Once I grow a little bit, I'll ask people how they feel about leaving chat on screen or not. Plaza is fire. I think Plaza is super fire. I really like this card. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this to only cast a legendary spell. Tap, add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. Tap, exile it for 3+ tap. Target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This card's awesome. This card's really, really, really good. Generally, like every commander deck is probably going to want to play this. End of story. Moving on. Kyrion. Kyrion Beast Color. 2 mana 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever it dies, distribute X counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of counters on it. It's good. There's nothing that makes me think, holy, this is a cool card. But it's cool. It's neat. It's interesting. Now moving on to Radha's Firebrand. 2 mana 3/1. Whenever it attacks, target creature defending player controls with power less than Radha Firebrand's power can't block this turn. And then for 6, costing 1 less for each land you control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This in the mono red deck that I've been theorizing is actually pretty sweet. Because you play this on 2, it's unlikely your opponent has anything that can block it if you disable their blocker, right? It's unlikely your opponent has a 3 power creature on turn 2. So you play Radha's Firebrand on turn 2, you attack with it on turn 3, and then you play your Keldon Flame Sage. And now you either have the choice to attack with Radha's Firebrand in addition to Flame Sage, disabling a blocker, or you can just attack with the Flame Sage, tap this down, and get to cast a spell. I think this is really sick. I could see that saying, I think mono red could be pretty strong in standard. I might theory craft a mono red deck for standard. I don't really play standard much. But after this, we might theory craft a mono red deck, because I could see mono red being pretty solid. Ragefire Hellkite. Red 4. Flying for a 5/3, which is not an incredible stat line. Whenever it attacks, you may sack a creature. If you do, Ragefire Hellkite gains double strike time of turn. Seems hot, not gonna lie. I agree. I mean, yeah, this card seems awesome. Ragefire Hellkite does not seem very good. I draft mono red this set. Mono red draft in this set seems sweet. Like, I don't know what this thing does. That's the Goblin Tribal. But like, you have these two, you have Keldon Flame Sage, you have Defiler of Instinct, you have Jaya, you have Shivan Devastator. Yeah, like this mono red deck seems really awesome. I'm gonna move on to Radha Drabik. I don't think Ragefire Hellkite's very good. 4 mana 3/3 Vigilance Ward 2. Other zombies you control have Vigilance. Whenever a legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. It's good in Commander. It's cool in Commander. There's probably some dumb combo. There's probably some dumb combo you can do with this. I don't know. Someone smarter than me figure out how you can break this card. I don't know. There's probably something to do with it. It seems, I'm not gonna think too hard on it. I'm just moving on. Ravaz of the Claw. Menace, 3/3 for 3. Menace, black-red 1. Tap, add 2 of any mana of any colors, of any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast a dragon creature spells. Once per turn, you may cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard, and then they exile when they die. This seems awesome in the 99 of dragon decks. Like, this is sweet. This is a really good mana dork. It like it's a good stat line, so it's a good attacker early game. It's a even imagine if he were a dragon. I think it's fine that he's not a dragon. Like he does so much for the dragon archetype on his own. I think this card is really awesome. Rundvelt Hordemaster. 2 mana 1/1. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever the Rundvelt Hordemaster or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin creature card, you may cast that card at the end of your next turn. My issue with Rundvelt Hordemaster is that if you hit a land or if you hit a non-goblin spell, that card is lost forever into the void, L plus ratio, you're never getting your card back, which is kind of annoying. And it's kind of a bad thing, per se. Not a big fan of it. Like, there's better goblin buffing effects out there. I mean, yeah, like, yes, while Kranko would like it a lot, you can you might accidentally deck yourself, or you might lose out on some really important pieces that you would have had access to without Rundfeld Hordemaster. Like there are better goblin tribal leaders out there. There's one that exiles artifact that destroys artifacts. Oh, goblin creatures you control get +1/+1. There's this guy. There's Goblin Trashmaster and Hobgoblin Bandit Lord, which are both just better than Rundvelt Hordemaster. And they have a more useful effect. You have enough draw in red, like impulse draw and whatnot in red. I don't think you need Rundvelt Hordemaster. Sarah Redeemer. White 3 for a 2/4 flyer. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, put 2 +1/+1 counters on that creature. I'm gonna hit you with the on this one. I'm gonna hit you with the I'm not super feeling this one. I'm gonna hit you with the doesn't seem great on this one. Like really, like could be better, could be worse. It just seems unimpressive. I'm just gonna move on to this. Shadowrite Priest. 2 mana 2/2. Other clerics you control get +1/+1. Black 1, by the way, is the mana cost. Black 3. Tap. Sacrifice another cleric. Search your library for a black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Now, my friends who might not have been playing this game for very long, this card reminds me of something. This card reminds me of another cleric that was able to search for likely black creatures and put them into play. I'm going to allow anyone in my chat one guess as to the card that I'm about to go search up that I think is just better and a memeier and yeah, you are exactly thinking of Shadowborn Apostle. There's Shadowborn Apostle, which does the same thing except it's a memeier. You can play it in the Aetherios deck. You can play it in what's the thing that reanimates your 1 mana creatures? I think it unironically is better than this. Not going to talk too much more here. Like it's cool. It seems really good in the Aura deck. Yeah, it seems good in the Aura deck because you can sack a cleric, return a different cleric to play, and then go get a Asmodeus. It's a devil. You're trying, Goat Lord. Card Asmodeus. There you go. The problem is even in like competitive commander, you're just gonna go get you're not gonna get Asmodeus, you're gonna get Razaketh off of this. Like I mean Yeah, you're gonna get Razaketh off of this, and off of Shadowborn Apostle, you're also just gonna get Razaketh. The problem with Razaketh is it makes every other kind of big value demon just worse because it's never gonna be Razaketh. And that's a shame. Also, chat, my voice is getting a little tired, so we are going to end after the rares today. And then I will come back tomorrow and finish off the uncommons and commons. And then later this week, I'm going to get together with Shadow Zinx, another member of this community, to talk about the D&D, the 1 D&D changes, the potential D&D changes to 5.5 or 6th edition D&D. So if you're interested in that, give me a follow, join the Discord server. I'll let you all know when that happens. Moving on, Silver Scrutiny. Blue X. You may cast Silver Scrutiny as though it had flash if X is 3 or less. Draw X cards. This is... Okay, so this is either the grapple. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about my thoughts on on 1 D&D. I'll talk about my thoughts on it. I have opinions on some of the changes. But overall, I like the changes. We'll go over it on probably Friday or the weekend at some point. Silver Scrutiny. So this is interesting. This is 5 mana instant speed, draw 3 cards. Or it's a sorcery speed, draw X. It's interesting. It's nifty. You pretty much have to cast this for exactly X3 for it to be good. If you don't cast it for exactly X3, this card is bad. And for that reason, I don't think it's good. I'm going to move on to Squee. Dubious Monarch. Red 2. Legendary Goblin Noble with haste. Whenever Squee Goblin Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. You may cast Squee from your graveyard by paying 4 and exiling 4 other cards rather than paying its mana cost. So it has escape 4 and 4 cards. It's the worst version of Squee. The problem with Squee is that once we got Squee the Eternal and it broke Food Chain again, then this just got this just feels really underwhelming compared to even the other Krenko, the new Krenko. This just feels underwhelming. Not very impressed with Squee. You've disappointed me, my friend. You've disappointed me for the last time, my friend. L. Plus, I really don't care anymore. It's kind of a... I'm over Squee being a fun card. Moving on, Sten. Paranoid Partisan. White-blue for a human wizard. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. Exile Sten for white-blue 1. Exile Sten, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next 10 step. What does this do? It's a cloud key that you can choose the type of. You choose sorcery. My opinion is that, why would you ever not pick instant? You could pick sorcery if you need to play sorceries cheaper. You could pick enchantments if you want to play enchantments cheaper. But what you're realistically gonna do is you're gonna play this on instant, and you're gonna make your counter spells the interaction cost 1 less. Then if you ever need it for whatever reason, at the end of your opponent's turn, you can blink it, put it back into play under sorcery or under planeswalker, and then play your things for cheaper next turn. It is interesting for a stacks deck. The problem with blue-white stacks in general is that they don't have win conditions. And this doesn't solve that problem of blue-white stacks decks not having win cons. They still just don't have win cons. So, yeah, it's a problem. I don't really know what else to... I don't know what you could do to give blue white stacks a win condition, because then it has so many resources available. Giving it a win condition might just be too strong. But I think Sten is good in the 99. I don't displace your kitten slow fairy. Which Teferi are you talking about? And by a win condition, I mean, yes, blue white can have win condition. They can do ISO rev stuff. I mean, having a win condition in the command zone. Like Heliod has a win condition in the command zone. A lot of other stacks decks, Urza has a win condition in the command zone that's available to them whenever they need it. The big issue with blue white stacks is that there's no good commander in the command zone that acts as a win condition. So you're relying and waiting. The planeswalker that bounces a thing and draws your card. So you need 3 fairy. Got it. The problem with 3 fairy is that it's a double-edged sword. If you're not able to get combo, then it's really bad because you have to play table police. I don't think Sten changes anything. Like, I would love to see a blue-white commander that has a little more finality on it. That's my rant on white-blue stacks. There's so much good support ready for white-blue stacks, but there's not enough support for the actually winning the game part. And the problem is, if you just don't win the game, then eventually your opponents will just say, well, I'm going to choose to win the game now, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, they will have enough resources, they will have enough interaction to do the win the game thing, and you're not going to be able to stop it. Especially with the printing of Boseiju, making decks like Lavinia Lock significantly worse. It feels like white-blue needs some kind of end the game commander to actually make that archetype solid. I'm going to move on. Strongholder Oswald Lock. Again, it also falls. The issue with Oswald Lock is that it also falls issue to Boseiju. Exactly. Like, Boseiju kind of ruined any kind of lock-based stacks, because Boseiju just says, no, well, I'm going to destroy your thing, and it's not a spell, and you're not playing activated ability hate, so suck on these. I'm going to move on here because I could rant about stacks for a while. Stronghold Arena. Black 1 for an enchantment. Kicker, green, and or white. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life for each time it was kicked. Whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to a player you control, deal combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. So you get like a weird dark confidant. It's just what? It's Dark Confidant that you can only play in Abzan decks, but also is just, yeah, it's a Dark Confidant that you can only play in Abzan plus decks in Commander, and is worse. Like, I don't like this card. Even for 2 mana without the kicker, it's just not great. I'd rather play, it should say multi-kicker. Even if it said multi-kicker, it would be bad. Like, even with a multi-kicker, it would still be bad. It doesn't change the fact that it's a basically useless card. Like, that's the annoying part, is that this could have been really cool, but like, it's just Dark Confidant, but worse. Look at the wording though. For each time it's kicked, I'm aware you can gain a shit ton of life. It still doesn't change the fact that the card's bad. Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that the card's bad still, because you're not playing this card for a source of life gain. You're not. Oh, you gain 3 life for each time it was kicked. Wait, no, that does not. Yeah, so it means for every additional mana you would pay, you would gain 3 more life. right? If it had multi-kicker and you paid 7 mana for this card, you would gain 15 life because it was 5 kicks plus the original 2 mana. The problem is you're not using this card to gain a bunch of life. You're using this card for an extra draw every turn, an extra Dark Confidant draw. And at that point, oh yeah, it's missing the multi-kicker green-white. I agree, it's missing the multi-kicker green-white. That wouldn't make this card better. Like, this card is still bad. I'm going to move on before I get too angry at this card, too. Temporal Firestorm. Red 3. Kicker, white 1 and or blue 1. Choose up to X creatures and or planeswalkers you control, where X is the number of times the spell was kicked. Those permanents phase out, and then you deal 5 damage to everything. Interesting. My audio is delayed? Well, I don't know if there's much I can do about that right now. I feel like audio is always going to be delayed, and there's not really anything I can do about that. If you hear me in chat right now at this instant, type clap. Okay. That's like a 25-second delay. I said say clap. As in like clap. Like clap. Like as in like clap. I'm gonna fuck with Twitch settings. I don't know why my delay is so bad. That's really annoying. Settings, stream. I mean, I'm on low latency mode. I don't know why there's such a delay. You know what? I'm gonna go. Let's go check my own stream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. See, I'm not getting a delay. We're going down the rabbit hole right now. It's your visual audio that doesn't match? It's your visual audio that doesn't match? I'm not getting that on my end. I'm not getting that on my end. Like, I'm not getting that on my end. Like, I'm not getting that on my end. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch the VOD now because I'm curious. I'll have to rewatch the VOD now because I'm curious. This is kind of fun though, isn't it? I don't know, then it's on your screen. It's bad. Try refreshing your page, see what happens. We'll chill here on the infinite void for now. We'll chill here on the infinite void for now. Always. All right, yeah. So, oh yeah, I'll pull up my dashboard again. Speak good, sir. I try my best to speak good. Temporal Firestorm, it's cool. It's a sweeper. You can protect your stuff. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Moving on. Temporal Lockdown. Still delayed for you? Type clap when you hear that. Let me see how long it's delayed for you. Okay, you're like 10 seconds behind. That's not bad. All right, temporary lockdown. When temporary enter lockdown enters the battlefield, exile each non-land permanent with an amount of value 2 or less until temporary lockdown leaves the battlefield. It's interesting. It's cool. The problem is that if you're playing it in mono white, you're yoink a lot of your hate bears. Like, it hurts you a lot more than it's gonna hurt your opponents. Yeah, it's kind of bad. Unfortunately, it's kind of bad. I'm just gonna move on to the next card. The Cruelty of Gix. Again, the whole read ahead thing. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker from it. That player discards that card. Search your library for a card, put the card in your hand, you lose 3 life. Put a creature from a graveyard. Okay. This is actually really good with read ahead because either you could try and go for long game value, trying to chain the first ability into the third ability, or you can just go search for a card right now, get a 5-mana Grim Tutor, or you can just immediately reanimate something. Like at worst scenario, this is a 5-mana reanimate, which is bad. And at best case, this is like a pretty decent card. I'm iffy on this one. See, now you've made me self-conscious about my fucking stream delay. But I'm going to assume that it's on your end and not my end because my stream is perfect. Your stream is not my stream. So, the Elder Dragon War. Read ahead, 4 mana, red 2. Deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. Discard any number of cards and draw that many cards. You are on hotel Wi-Fi. That very much could be the issue there. I'm going to assume it's your shitty hotel Wi-Fi, and I'm going to keep going on assuming that my stream is fine. Anyway, the Elder Dragon at War actually seems really, really good because all 3 of its modes immediately do something. Like deal 2 damage to each creature and each opponent is good. Discard any number of cards and draw that many cards is good. Create a 4/4 red dragon with flying, that's good. And if this gets destroyed mid, like if you play it on 1 and then it gets destroyed, I'm still happy with its effect. If I play it on 2 and it gets destroyed, I'm still happy with it. Like this seems a lot better than the Cruelty of Gix per se, because each of its things individually are like decent for its mana cost. They're not great for its mana cost, but it's decent. Like 4 mana 4/4 flyer in red is actually a super solid play. I'm gonna move on, but I think this card is like solid. This card is solid at best. The Phasing of Zalfir. Read ahead. Another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the Phasing of Zalfir. And then everything blows up. Again, this doesn't feel like a blue card. This feels like a black card. Like blue doesn't get Day of Judgment effects. Blue doesn't get Day of Judgment and replace it with creature token effects. This feels color shifted. But this card's pretty good in blue. Giving blue it seems busted. Giving blue access to a sweeper, giving blue access to protecting stuff from your own sweeper. It seems strong. I'm going to move on to the Raven Man. The Raven Man. 2 mana, 1 and a black for a 2/1. Card name. It's not card name. Goat Lord, you're going to learn one day. Yes, you can phase out your entire board with this. Anyway, the Raven Man. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded a card this turn, create a 1/1 black bird creature dug with flying, and this creature can't block. A 4 tap, each opponent discards a card, activate only as sorcery. Now, that's pretty cool. Like, is it better than any other discard commanders out there currently? No, we're talking like Tiny Bones or Tergrid, God of Fright. But is this card a great supporting cast in the discard deck? Absolutely. So, good card, not incredibly impressive, but not terrible. I'm gonna give it the good card thumbs up. Moving on. Thran Portal. It's a gate. Turgid is just busted in your opinion. I agree that Turgid is just busted. Turgid's a very, very strong card. There's a lot that Turgid could have been that Turgid isn't. Turgid's a very, very strong card. Thran Portal. Thran Portal enters tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Okay, so it's like Blackcleave Cliffs. As it enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. Thran Portal is the chosen type in addition to its... I remember when people were scared that she was going to get banned. Casual players are absolute weenies. Turgid's not going to get banned. Learn to grow a pair. The land is so bad. The land is good in the Gates deck, but otherwise the land is bad. Yeah, I agree. It's just like a worse mana confluence. Threats undetected. Green 2. Search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library and put the rest in your hand. So, yay, guys, look, they finally fixed Gift Ungiven, even though Gifts Ungiven isn't even an unfair card anymore. This is like okay. It's not great. I probably wouldn't play this. You'd have to have like exactly three creatures that can fill the same combo role. It's worth Tooth and Nail. I mean, yeah, it's like worse Tooth and Nail. But at least with Tooth and Nail, you can entwine it to get some kind of value out of it. This just is like, eh. And yes, the name is a play on Gifts Ungiven. Something on something. It's just bad. That's the problem, is that it's just not a good card. I'm going to move on to Tyrannical Pitlord. Tyrannical Pitlord, black 4 for a 6/6. As it enters the battlefield, choose another creature you control. The chosen creature gets +3/+3 and has flying. When Tyrannical Pitlord leaves the battlefield, sacrifice the chosen creature. This is really interesting. Like, this can allow like black or black X to have a decent way for a creature that you need to deal combat damage. But that being said, overall, I'm not terribly a big fan of this. Like, is it cool? Yeah. Is it amazing? Not particularly. It's a card. It seems really good in draft. Like, this thing seems insane in draft, but otherwise it doesn't seem amazing. Urborg Lurgoyf. We have another Lurgoyf, boys. Kicker blue and or black for a 2-mana star 1+ star. As it enters battlefield, mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. Urborg Lurgoyf's power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. The problem with this card is that people are automatically going to compare it to Tarmogoyf. And this card is no Tarmogoyf. This card is never going to be Tarmogoyf. And unfortunately, because Tarmogoyf exists, this card is bad. Don't get me wrong, Tarmogoyf is insane. Tarmogoyf is really, 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 really good. But this card is not. This card is not that. And it sucks that the only good Lurgoyf everyone is just going to be compared to the entire time. That being said, I'm doing the exact same thing that I'm saying is bad. I'm comparing this to Tarmogoyf. It's not Tarmogoyf. I'm going to move on. Urza assembles the Titans. White 3. With the whole read ahead thing, yada yada yada. Scry forth, and you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a Planeswalker card, put it into your hand. You may put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. You may activate the abilities of loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice this turn rather than only once. This card is, wait for it, chat. This card is garbage. This card is awful. The first chapter is really bad. The third chapter is really bad. This basically says pay 5 mana, hope and pray to God you have a planeswalker with exactly mana value 6 in your hand, because then you're going to get to play it a turn early. Otherwise, this seems really bad. I'm moving on. Valiant Veteran. 2 mana 2/2 core soldier. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1. Pay 5, exile it from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. This also seems bad. There are better soldier lords out there. There's better tribal effects for soldier. Like, this does not seem very good. I'm moving on. Vodalian Hexcatcher. 2 mana 1/1 flash. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a merfolk. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. So all of your merfolk turn into Curse Catcher. All of your merfolk turn into Curse Catcher. This is insane. Like, I think modern merfolk is going to love this card. This is insane. This is really, really, really strong. They already run 4 of Curse Catcher. This is just going to add on to their toolkit of stuff that they have available to them. Incredibly good. Absolutely incredibly good. Great card. I see this being a $10, $20 card because of modern. Like modern merfolk is gonna. Have you seen Nikachu's thoughts on it? No, we'll watch that. We'll watch that later. We'll watch that right after this. See if we can get me a link to it. We'll watch that right after we finish the last card. Vodalian Mindsinger. Blue 1. Kicker 1 green and or 1 red. Enters battle with 2 +1/+1 counters for each time it was kicked. So it's either a 3 mana 2/2 or a 5 mana 4/4 or a 7 mana 6/6. When it enters battlefield, gain control of target creature with power less than Vodalian Mindslinger's power for as long as you control Vodalian Mindsinger. Seems okay. Doesn't seem amazing. I'm giving it an A on this one. Overall, the rares in this set seem underwhelming. There was not a lot of these rares that I thought were awesome. Vodalian Hexcatcher seems insane. We're just gonna go back through, giving my quick rundown on all the rares here. Yeah, the Vodalian Hexcatcher was insane. I thought Rada's Firebrand could see play in the red aggro deck. Leaf Crown Visionary is nuts. Absolutely nuts. All the domain cards have seemed very, very underwhelming. Keldon Flamesage could be pretty good. Haughty Djinn is solid. Evolved Sleeper is a little expensive for what it does. Airtie is insane. I think this card's super useful. Goat Lord, there's a fun thing you can do with Airtie against Thassa's Oracle. I don't know if you were here for this, my analysis of this, but you'll appreciate this. Your opponent tries to do Demonic Consultation plus Thassa's Oracle. You flash Airtie in, you counter the Thassa's Oracle trigger, force them to draw, and they die. What do you think about that one? See what my moderator here thinks. And then we'll move on to the next. No, you weren't. That was immediately what I thought to do with Airtie. Was you just hose the Thoracle player. Because they try and do their Thoracle thing, you counter the trigger ability, and then you force them to draw and they die. Really, really cool idea. Drag at the bottom is bad. All of these defilers are really strong, but Defiler of Instinct, Defiler of Dreams are going to be very good. Defiler of Flesh and Vigor are going to be okay. Defiler of Faith is less good. Archangel of Wrath is decent. Aether Channeler is overrated. And Academy Lore Master is really good in Drago control. So that's it for the rares and mythic rares from Dominaria United. If you missed anything, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will upload the VOD of this right after stream so that if anyone missed anything, they can go back and look. Otherwise, my mod has told me that Nikachu, a common Magic player, has given his thoughts on this Vodalian Hexcatcher card, and I would love to see them. So we're going to go get Nikachu. Nikachu MTG. Can you send me a link to the where he talks about the new Merfolk card? What about the new Mercenary? What do you mean the new Mercenary? I don't know. Which new Mercenary? Set DMU Mercenary. Mercenary. How do you spell mercenary? Mercenary. Oh, is it called mercenary? Mercenary. What? Two things, Goat Lord. One, can you send me a link to where Nikachu talks about the new merfolk? I would love to take a look at that on stream right now. And second of all, which new mercenary are you talking about? Because it seems as if that card does not exist. The one that gains the abilities of legends. What do you mean? I don't think I saw a card that, if it's an uncommon that I haven't seen it yet. I don't think I've seen anything that gains the abilities of legendaries. Unless I was just totally missing something throughout my looking previously. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me the name of the card or something so I can. Because it might be an uncommon. I might have been missing. I might have been missing it. Oh, I'm getting DMs. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, here's the YouTube video. We will watch this in a little bit. I want my moderator. It's a rare look in the spoilers in the Mono White Discord. I will. I want to see what card you're referencing here. Oh, that's in the commander set. Goat Lord, that's in the Dominaria commander set. I'll be going over that later. I'll go over that another day. That's from Dominaria Commander. I definitely will be going over Dominaria Commander, but that is not from the core Dominaria United set. But anyway, we have a YouTube video to watch. You said timestamp 217. Here.
Vodalian Hexcatcher. That actually honestly has like an AI generated type of name to it. Blue, 1 generic with Flash. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a merfolk, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. And it's a 1/1 creature by itself. Oh, that is interesting. That is very interesting. The fact that it has flashes is a huge deal, but it's going to be a pretty puny creature by itself. Sacrifice another merfolk, but we get to flash in and... Oh, we don't even have to pay for this. We just sack the merfolk. Counter target instance, it basically turns everything into a curse catcher. And it's just
exactly what I
it's
said.
non-creature spell. So basically, put it into the battlefield. Everything is a curse catcher from now on.
Yeah, exactly what I said. That everything is a curse catcher. I think it's strong. Anyway,
A super curse catcher. This curse catcher is dead now. Sacrifice a merfolk counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. What non-creature spells do we want to kill? Quite unfortunately, the things that we want to counter are things like Fury and Solitude. But at the same time, we can also counter Planeswalkers now. But we can hit spells really well. So we can counter Crashing Footfalls, as long as they don't have the mana up for it. Activate Mutavault, sacrifice it. Yeah, it's a way better curse catcher. Living End, so long as they don't have the mana up. And this will always threaten interaction. I like it! I do like it. I think it adds to the trickiness of the Merfolk deck. I hope it's not too weak of a creature. You're just one pollutant to be removed from the sea. I really wish... Because like that does make a big difference. If we can't close out the game, then cards like this are very, very poor. Too bad it didn't say all Merfolk, just like back in the good old days. A Merfolk Wizard with Flash. We get to flash it in. We do need Merfolk on the battlefield. We can sacrifice itself, which is good. The fact that this has Flash better justify playing Counterspell for the Elementals. Because we can't counter Elementals. We still need a good... Yeah, we still need the good 1-drop. This doesn't solve the 1-drop problem. It still messes up Fury Math at instant speed and dunks on Tron. I don't think it'll dunk on Tron that much because of... like Curse Catcher... Well, okay, it's a non-creature spell, so we actually can hit a lot of stuff. They have to...
Yeah, so I like some of the points he's making here. It is a decent lord. It can hit their... If Tron goes Tron land on 1, Tron land on 2, Tron land on 3, try and cast Karn, you can flash in Hexcatcher and nail their Karn. And from now on, but you're still kind of behind there. Unless you have a way to turn off their Tron. But you are able to hose the turn 3 Karn. Additionally, as people are saying, it messes with Fury. Fury, again, being a way to try and deal damage divided among all their merfolk. They like invoke Fury, evoke Fury, and then you just flash this in and buff your creatures that they don't die from the Fury. Very, very good points. Very, very good points here.
Tap out, though. This will favor... If we can make a lot of merfolk... Like, you know those green merfolk, like, enters the battlefield and makes a 1/1 token? That would be useful in a deck like this. If we could get, like, a 2-mana merfolk that, like, comes with a buddy, that would be good. We can go full aggro with this? Absolutely not! No, I think we have to... Full aggro just doesn't work anymore. There's just way too much interaction for full aggro. If it was just flash other merfolk you control, get +1/+1, it wouldn't be that interesting of a creature. But the whole sacrifice thing is a big deal. I do like that I can attack with this. So I could have something
Civic
on the
Merfolk,
battlefield
yeah.
I can attack.
Civic Merfolk could definitely be a thing. Somebody suggested Collected Company Merfolk. That's definitely a really interesting idea. I agree with what he's saying that there's not really any good 1-mana merfolk. Mana value 1, order by rarity. Like, what good 1-mana merfolk exists? Bant merfolk might be a thing. It could be a thing. The problem is that, like, what 1-mana merfolk do you have? There's Curse Catcher, there's Mist Caller, which is bad. There's Rishden Dockhand, which is like the best option other than Curse Catcher. There's Kumena Speaker, which is just a 1-mana 2/2, so it's just worse Goblin Guide. Like, a lot of these are just bad. Unfortunately, a lot of these are just bad.
Attack with it, leave up mana. If my opponents block, we flash this thing in and kill it. If they don't block, we get to play like Silvergill Adept or Sphaloon or something else, like something more important. So having flash gives us better lines in combat. Also, the fact that it has flash is leaning us further and further to removing Vile from the deck. Like the Merfolk is slowly becoming more and more of a flash creature type. Coco Merfolk list? Probably, maybe. Schmackle, this is completely off topic, but have you seen the new uncommon commander, Lagamus?
All right, yeah. So I like his thoughts a lot, actually. I like a lot of what he's saying here. A lot of it makes a lot of sense. He's a very experienced Merfolk player. He absolutely knows what he's talking about. Very smart guy when it comes to the archetype. Knows a lot more than I do about Merfolk. If you're interested in Merfolk or interested in any kind of Magic content at all, go follow Nikachu on his socials. Makes some really, really interesting content. Makes some really, really good content. I love the stuff that he makes. The last thing I want to do right now is I want to look through Scryfall a little bit and see formats, legal and standard. Like, what does that look like when I do this? It says legal and standard. Color identity is in red. Merfolk off of Vile would be interesting. I agree, and especially because Merfolk has been on Vile for so long, but now that he said it's been more of a flash archetype. It seems a little. It seems a little different that it's not going to be. Seems a little different that they're not going to be on it. Right now, what I'm looking at is looking at cards in standard. Or I should look at cards that are going to be in the new standard rotation. So that doesn't include some of them. Chatter, what cards are going to be in the new standard rotation? Standard rotation. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be. It's getting rid of these ones. So we get to keep Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, we get to keep Innistrad, Crimson Vow, we get to keep Kamigawa, and we get to keep Streets of New Capenna. And then we get Dominaria United. So it's going to be set equals Innistrad, Midnight Hunt. Is it Innistrad? Is it IMN? Is it IMH? What's the code for Innistrad Midnight Hunt? Does anyone in chat know what the sets? I just need to know what the set code for Innistrad Midnight Hunt is. Innistrad Midnight Hunt. This doesn't help. What's the set code? Here we go. That's what we're looking for. Innistrad Midnight Hunt is mid. That's what it is. Midnight Hunt, or set is Vow, or set is what's the other ones? The other ones are Kamigawa or Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, or set is Streets of New Capenna, or set is Dominaria United. What I'm looking for is I'm interested in this idea of mono red that I was talking about all day today. Like, what would a mono red deck look like that played like hyper aggro creature based? It was a mid set DVH. I mean, you're not wrong. It was a mid set. It's like, what would a mono red deck look like? You probably play. You maybe play Cemetery Gatekeeper. You probably play Jaya. You probably play Shivan Devastator. You probably play Urbrask as like a top end, as a card advantage top end. You maybe play this. You probably don't play this. You probably play a copy or two of Urbrask at the top end. You definitely play Defiler of Instinct. You probably do Devilish Valet stuff. Like you play Keldon Fire Sage, you play Professional Facebreaker, maybe. Like this is a decent one drop. I mean, it seems interesting. I'm not the person to ask about this, about what the optimal way to build this mono red deck would be, but I could see it being a thing. It feels like there's a lot of really good support for it. You have Cathartic Pyre, you have uh like all of these rares that are really interesting. I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask about standard too much, but I thought that there was a lot of good pieces enough to try and make something like that work. Maybe Jax, right? Like, there's a bunch of stuff that people are able to and willing to experiment with. Here, maybe Jax is. But anyways, chat. I've been streaming for about 2 hours. My voice is really sore. Still not used to streaming for as long. If you are new to the stream, I see that there might be a lurker or two. No need to chat at all. But if you would drop a follow and or join the Discord server, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm gonna hit the stream ending song, and I'll be back tomorrow to go over the rest of the uncommons and commons from this set. Maybe go into Dominaria Commander as well. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, take it up with me. If I'm not available, don't DM my mods because they're not paid for that. They're not paid at all. You can find out a way to contact me if you need to talk to me at all. Anyways, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to streaming a little more. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful night. Bye now.